tonight. They're up against an Ecuador squad that impressed during South American qualifying and booked their World Cup place last June. Weston McKennie is in his first camp since March. He started both in March in the Nations League, but it's just a fifth appearance for him under Mauricio Pochettino.
And I caught up with him a little bit at training. I mean, he looks the fittest he's ever looked. I think he's in a great moment in his career. The Juventus situation has been challenging at times, and he's ridden through all of that. And outside of Christian, after him, Weston McKennie is the player for the U.S. national team. They need him form. He's a real star, and this will be a good opportunity to see him back at camp.
We are 245 days away from the United States World Cup opener at SoFi Stadium. And as Mauricio Pochettino reaches the 12-month mark in charge, there are still plenty of questions to be answered as he prepares this squad for the world's biggest stage. And they're up against an Ecuador side that had a wonderful qualifying campaign. They managed to finish second in CONMEBOL qualifying. They're unbeaten in their last 11 matches, their longest unbeaten run in their history. They have talent throughout the lineup, including the youngster Kendrick Paez, who is on loan at Strasbourg from Chelsea. And this will be a big test for Mauricio Pochettino's men.
You see right away, it's not always going to be a press, but it's always going to be energy. Ecuador hunts the ball in packs.
Played all the way back towards Joel Ordóñez at the back. Ecuador ranked 24th in the world. It's their highest ranking in the last 8 years. And over the course of the next 4 games for them before the World Cup draw, they are hoping to try and make it into the top 23, so they'll be in pot 2 of that World Cup draw come December. So plenty for them to play for as well over the course of the next couple of months. Despite having qualified, they are missing a few players, including Chelsea's Moises Caicedo, Arsenal's Piero Hincapié, and Gonzalo Plata with Flamengo. A mixture of players being left with their clubs to keep them fresher, and also slight injury issues. But they arrive here, having beaten Argentina 1-0 in the last window after a 0-0 draw with Paraguay. Picked up in the midfield there by Aidan Morris. Great opportunity for him. A 10th cap for Aidan Morris, who is flying high with Middlesbrough in the English Championship. Chris Richards with the ball forward towards Tillman. Now this is Tim Ream. Franco. Aidan Morris in there to battle and win the ball as it's played back by Tessman towards Ream. Ashton getting the call once again on the left side of the defence. Here it comes for Ordóñez, 21-year-old Bruges defender, down the right side for Preciado to chase onto, up against Austin. And he couldn't get the cross or the power on the shot towards Matt Freese.
A little bit lucky there. His footing got caught up. You see, makes the run. Just right here, you can see he's just, as he's looking up at top speed, doesn't have the right stride, is waiting for Valencia to show up in the middle.
Aidan Morris gets an important touch there, but it comes all the way for the driven shot. Out for a corner given by the referee tonight, Philip Duich, 31-year-old from Toronto, Canada. Major League Soccer referee who's in charge of this one tonight. Ecuador starting on the front foot here 3 minutes in. They haven't conceded many goals. They haven't scored too many either during their qualifying campaign. 10 clean sheets in the last 11 matches for this Ecuador team. Paez, the 18-year-old, across to take it. Pacho forward from the back, the Paris Saint-Germain defender, one of the targets here inside the penalty area for this early Ecuador corner. Richards trying to climb and head it away, and that's driven in and just wide there from Alcivar.
Well, he does really well to collect it. No one out there pops. It takes a good first touch. There's a good look. You know, You think that based on where the leg positioning was, he wasn't going to be able to get that on frame, because at least McKennie and Tessman were chasing him down.
Once again, the press coming strong from Ecuador as Tim Ream is able to win the goal kick. There's been so much change over the last year under Mauricio Pochettino, who takes charge of his 19th game today as the head coach. It was almost a year ago to the day that he kicked off his time here in charge of the US in Austin. A 2-0 win against Panama. Only 2 players that started that win against Panama are in the starting lineup today. One of them is Tim Ream at the back, the other is Aidan Morris. Here's Balogun charging away down the left side. Really positive play from Balogun, and he manages to win the corner.
Really well done. Great pace. Here's a look at it. Just turns on the jets right here around the corner. Watch Weston McKennie, too. Cover a lot of ground to find his way into the box. That touch right here is a little tighter. We have 2 options, essentially, but really well done from Balogun. I mean, he was excellent last time we saw him, Luke. I mean, just a total performance, so hopefully he can build off of that.
He got that goal against Japan on his first start for the US in 12 months. This is Tillman with the corner in towards Chris Richards, and Richards timing heads it wide. He scored here in the Gold Cup earlier this year. The US winning all 6 of their games in this stadium. It was June the 19th, a 1-0 win against Saudi Arabia in the group stage. Richards with the goal. Tillman with the ball in towards the back post, and that one will just run behind for a goal kick. Well, it's been a fast, frantic first 6 minutes. The man in charge of Ecuador, who has led them to the World Cup, is the 44-year-old Argentine, Sebastian Bercosese. He's been the head coach since after Copa America. They lost the first match against Brazil, but he is unbeaten since.
That is so hard to do in that World Cup qualifying region.
An incredible performance for them, and despite a points deduction for registering an ineligible player, they still managed to equal their second, or their best ever World Cup qualifying campaign. Over the top of McKennie, comes towards Balogun, who managed to turn defense into attack last time on the ball, but it's won here at the back by Ordóñez. And Pacho all the way back towards the goalkeeper, Hernan Galíndez, 38 years old, the veteran goalkeeper, who plays in Argentina. He was born in Argentina, played 90 minutes in both games in September. In fact, is making his 11th start in the last 13 since Copa America. Galíndez with the long ball wide towards Preciado down the right.
I think, Luke, one thing that we've seen with the U.S. national team that under Pochettino has plagued them a little bit is when they face these high-energy, high-pressing teams, that sometimes they're just not direct and just play the safe ball, play it long, relieve the pressure, and
Tillman in towards Balogun here, and Balogun drives it low. Galíndez able to make the save. That was nicely done by Tillman from that situation to send Balogun away. Balogun already a handful for Ecuador. Preciado's ball forward. Yeah, moment to catch your breath.
Yeah, it finished with that. I mean, it's picking and choosing the right moments for these little between the lines interactions. I mean, Balogun to start the game so sharply, takes an excellent first touch, gets his footing right. That's going in the far post so he doesn't force the save. And I think that was a part of Balogun's game recently that's been super helpful for the U.S. national team when they're playing these teams that press hard. He's got the pace to chase a ball into the corner and at least relieve some pressure, but he's also excellent at coming back and linking up play.
Came on at half-time for Monaco at the weekend. 2-2 draw against Nice. He was fouled for the penalty that leveled that game. Tessman through the midfield up towards Balogun. So I mentioned before, 2 players that started Mauricio Pochettino's first game start this one tonight. Aidan Morris is back for the first time in a year. He started both of those games last October, Mauricio Pochettino's first 2 games in charge. Right here against Panama, then in Mexico, that 2-0 defeat. Hasn't been called up since, although Mauricio Pochettino did say he would have been called up for the November window had he not picked up an injury. But in a year where there has been so much change, Tim Ream, who was just on the ball there, has been pretty much a constant for this team. He was the other player that started that first game. He's now played 16 of Pochettino's 19 games in charge, and tonight captaining for the 15th time under Mauricio Pochettino, his 24th time in his career as the US captain. Preciado with the ball back here towards Galindez. Tillman underneath this one, cushions it down towards Aidan Morris.
What I love about Aidan Morris's game is he's always trying to think how to play positive, how to get turned and advance the ball up the field. He's calm, he's composed, he can carry the ball up, but he's not just playing that safe pass just to keep the ball moving. He's trying to get the U.S. turned and break through the lines.
Austin with the ball back towards Tim Ream. Richards. Morris wide to that right side, and Robinson with the ball back inside. No Anthony Robinson tonight in the squad. And no Zendejas as well due to an injury. They both missed training towards the end of the week. Anthony Robinson still being managed in terms of his comeback from long-term injury.
So you can see that the U.S. really, it's moving into a back three when they have the ball. And that's when they really show up in that formation. They almost go back into that back four mold. That's, I think, what Tim Williams gives us a little hint. Kind of like a fake wing back. You know, sometimes a wing back, but not always.
Forward it goes towards McKennie. And out of play here for a U.S. throw. And Tim Weah has played in many different positions already this season at club level. One of them has been as a right fullback or a wing back. He's played on the left side as well. Played in midfield roles. This is Weston McKennie. McKennie off for Tillman. Now it's picked up by Weah. Through for Tillman. Lovely move here from the US. And Tillman towards the byline, stands it up at the back post, and it's dealt with by Preciado, but I think he's given the corner here.
What a beautiful little sequence that was from the US. Really patient, great spatial awareness, overlapping run, you know, already there, the timing of everything. You know, Tillman does really well to get the cross off in the end. His opportunity to get a shot off was really closed down immediately when he got into that middle position. Vitae did well to at least stymie that initial attack. But the U.S. has looked really composed on the ball after a shaky first couple minutes.
The referee just sorting things out there. Ordonez getting into it a little bit with Tanner Tessman. Tessman's first appearance since the Nations League in March. Which the referee has taken charge of 24 MLS games this season. 5 red cards, 9 penalties. And he's still keeping a close eye on what's going on inside the 6-yard box there. As Tillman plays it into the front post. They're able to rise and get there, and it might have just been kept in there. In fact, the flag was up for offside on the far side of the pitch anyway. Wildman and Kyle Martino in the broadcast booth, and Melissa Ortiz is by the benches.
I'm right next to head coach Mauricio Pochettino, and I see his body movements and signaling. When the team is out of possession, he wants Timothy Weah to stay central defensively, not get pulled too far inside. Then when they lose possession of the ball, that back line, Mauricio keeps shouting them, push up, very quickly. And offensively, guys, Mauricio's applauding movements and sequences that this U.S. team is doing from the sideline. He's consistently doing it, and you can see it on his face as well.
Mauricio Pochettino said in his press conference yesterday there is not a single player inside that locker room that right now should expect to be in the World Cup squad. He said that's a culture that they have been trying to instill over the course of the last 12 months since his debut right here in Austin. And he said that he feels there has been that culture shift whereby every player there knows they still have to fight for their place.
You get the sense that he was recognizing players feeling a little comfortable, and he is definitely a coach historically that's known about the intensity, the values, the passion, the commitment that's expected every single day. And I remember right when he got to Spurs, some players found that out very quickly. One very famously.
Played across the back by Ordonez towards Pacho, who was sent off in the Club World Cup quarter-final in Atlanta with PSG. As they beat Bayern Munich, he missed the semi-final and final of the Club World Cup this summer. Afston rises. His last game for the US was in Columbus, where he plays for the crew. Got an assist on the Zendejas goal in a 2-0 win against Japan. Zendejas and Balogun were the scorers that day. One of the things I really liked from Paul Carr, our super stats man, was that after to Zendejas goal was the US men's national team's second A-to-Z goal. This ball played into the middle, runs all the way through. Altidore assisted Zardes.
Only Paul Carr could grab
in
that.
2015. Very impressive. Zendejas is in the stands tonight next to Anthony Robinson. Zendejas having a very good spell at club level, but unfortunately not fit for this one here today. Zendejas with what Club America described as an issue in his left thigh. Christian Pulisic did miss training, but is on the bench today.
Yeah,
what a season he's having.
It's really wonderful to watch the player he's become, the consistent star he is abroad at one of the biggest clubs in the world and some of the biggest competitions. It's really wonderful.
Comes a Stupinian down the left side, and Richards is trying to battle there. It's cleared away by Weah. Preciado. Ayez will chase across to the far side. Stupinian, who burst forward there from left back, a teammate of Christian Pulisic at AC Milan.
Yeah, Bees was talking about early on in the game. That matchup is going to be fascinating on the far side of the field.
Pacho across the back all the way towards Ordonez. Started the final 8 qualifiers, played the full 90 in 7. He played against Balogun in the Champions League with Bruges. 4-1 win against Monaco. Finds himself directly up against Balogun again tonight. Richards with the ball forward towards Tessman. Lovely ball flick there from McKennie, and wide on the right Weah feeds it forward. Tessman is there, he's got Balogun in the middle, but he couldn't quite find him. But it will be another corner here for the United States.
That was a great try. Pacho read that one really well. But was just trying to lift it. And here's another look at the sequence. Lovely back heel. Excellent weight on this pass from Weah. You can see what he's trying to do. He's just trying to lift it over the experienced center back's leg. What a wonderful little attack there from Gross.
Tillman once again with the corner. This the 4th of the game in the opening 17 minutes. Away at the front post, and Austin battling to try and get there. Aidan Morris back now, trying to halt the runners. Vite, the former Vancouver man, brings it forward. And now a little shove in the back there by Richards. He'll get a yellow card here from Filip Dujic. A run from Yeboah after he was fed by Vite. Relegated last year from Serie A with Venezia.
Well, and after this initial collision, yeah, it was just too difficult to take him down. There was a few times, little clipped heels and grabs of the jersey, just trying to make a professional foul here. And Richards had enough, just goes for it himself.
Chris Richards, Crystal Palace, seeing their incredible club record 19-match unbeaten run end with a 2-1 defeat at Everton at the weekend. Of course, they beat Liverpool in the Community Shield earlier before the start of the season. He's been playing in the Conference League as well, had 90 minutes in the Conference League win at Dynamo Kiev last week, every minute in the Premier League as well. And Palace was such a small squad, just maybe off the back of a European week, got a little tired towards the end there at Everton at the weekend. And that unbeaten run came to an end, but 19 matches for Palace under Oliver Glasner and Chris Richards. A huge achievement for them to be where they are right now at the start of this campaign. Jordi Alcivar standing over this one. Headed away by Tim Ream. Alcivar, the lone player in the starting lineup, playing in Ecuador, Independiente del Valle. downfield there by Miles Robinson.
There's been a real commitment when Ecuador are on the ball to immediately find ways to get pressure and force scenarios. And what I love about it is it's not this domino effect of the second player starting after the first. It's happening in unison. That's why Ecuador's having a tough time. That first press from Weston McKennie is making that obvious outlet pass go to an area where there's already another U.S. player sprinting to put pressure on.
McKennie with a little bit of space here on the edge of the area. Couldn't quite find where. Stupinian looking to bring it away, and now Pacho, central defender, switching it wide to the right for Preciado. He earned his 50th cap in the last international window. Back with Tim Ream, the Charlotte man, in towards Tessman. Where Robinson. We were talking with Miles Robinson yesterday about signing his new contract in Cincinnati, and the environment there, he feels, is the right one for him to continue his development.
Yeah, shout out to those guys. A lot of my former teammates, Albright, Noonan, Kenny Arena, Kinnear, a lot of former U.S. players.
Some good names to learn from.
That understand how important it is and have been through different challenges getting into the U.S. team. So they've done a wonderful job helping them along the way.
Ream's ball down the left side, and Balogun here up against Alcivar. Way opens up a little bit for Balogun, and he tried to curl it towards the top corner. And you know what? He wasn't too far away.
They just took that quick glance, and this is what I love about him. Just watch how quickly he can get away, find a little window, and just balanced, composed, and a wonderful strike. That doesn't miss by much. I mean, he's so efficient in his movement, no wasted movement, creates little pockets very quickly for himself. That was a wonderful opportunity.
September was Balogun's first squad under Mauricio Pochettino. Of course, he had issues with injury last year, shoulder and ankle. With Valencia down the right side, the veteran forward. Take up by Paez and then Preciado. Blanco the right back, across for Ordonez. Vite. Vite making a move away from Major League Soccer earlier this year. Valencia's ball forward, straight through to Matt Freese.
That's interesting there. You know, Weston McKennie's almost been the first line of confrontation a lot of times, and you saw right there, and he's still chatting. Went to go press, and that time there wasn't another U.S. player reading it, and Ecuador was easily turned and playing through the lines. That hasn't happened a lot, and Weston made sure everyone knew that that's not acceptable.
Christian Pulisic talked about Weston McKennie's return to the squad, talked about how much his energy just brings a smile to the team on the pitch at training, but also off it as well. Freese will drive this one downfield towards Balogun. Now McKennie. Weston McKennie back in Texas, of course. Free kick given here.
We finally got one.
That's it back down to Melissa Ortiz.
Fuller and Balogun spoke about his role as a 9. He said he attributes his movements to his time playing as a winger early in his career. He said, I think movement as a winger is obviously key. If you want to score goals, you can't always just stay wide. You need to have a variety in your attack, including all the runs that he is making. He said later on when he moved to the striker.
Here's Valencia trying to get in down the right side. Valencia! 1-0 Ecuador! The veteran striker, Valencia, his 48th international goal, and the United States trail in Austin.
And right there, Abe Morrissey just gambles on that first one, and after that, Richard just doesn't read the right movement over his shoulder, and that pivot to try to go find Valencia. Valencia was already moving with that first touch to free himself up. Watch this, just beautiful first touch, and at this point, as the angle's getting worse, and that's just how good a goal scorer he is. Richards, he absolutely closes the space, and he's right there to be able to block that shot. But Valencia, I mean, just so much class and understanding how much time He has to get that shot off. It gets cleaned out afterwards, but a beautiful finish. And yeah, just too little details there. Two mistakes that a player of that quality can burn you. Totally against the run of play.
Enner Valencia still going strong at 35 years old. 48th international goal. And this is cap number 101. What a strike rate on the international stage for Enner Valencia. Pretty much a goal every 2 games. Now playing at Pachuca. This is Weah, inside to Tillman. Kenny's ball in, Balogun couldn't get there, headed behind by Ordonez for a 5th US corner.
Yeah, a testament to Valencia. That's not really a Richards mistake. He turns over his shoulder to try to find him, but Valencia's movement just so good.
Six goals and 8 caps for Valencia. He scored the winner against Argentina in the last World Cup qualifier in September. Tillman's ball in front post, goes all the way through to Richards. Almost another goal in Austin for Chris Richards. The US tried to hit back immediately. Cleared towards Weah on halfway.
What a save. I'm curious to watch the replay to see how he got down that quickly to get a palm to that.
Reams ball back towards Richards. Denied by Galindez. 14 clean sheets in 29 caps for the veteran goalkeeper. Robinson across the back here for Richards. In the 27th minute, 1-0 Ecuador, with Valencia's goal the difference. Ecuador's record World Cup goal scorer with 5. Back it goes to Galindez. Here, which is taken quickly by Preciado. 51st cap for him, the 27-year-old. Back for Franco.
The U.S. just needs to stay composed, shake that off. I mean, they're having a really good start to this game. Little moment where Morris could stay on his feet and maybe get there and don't get more on that pass, but they're playing well. They're definitely making life difficult for Ecuador.
Richards heads it away. Vite. Pedro Vite, Pumas man. Down the right for Preciado. And back here by Austin, forward towards Balogun. This is Tillman. Tillman over the top, McKennie chasing, and McKennie able to bring it down. Could he keep it in play? I think it's a goal kick. It is.
Here's a very close look at this save. I mean, it comes out so quickly. That's a wonderful, wonderful save.
It's the AT&T net cam.
Yeah, Richard did well to take it off the half volley. Strikes it beautifully and gets a little luck off the post, but that's a great goalkeeper.
Yeah. Chris Richards almost impactful once again. 3 international goals. Played all but 3 minutes at the Gold Cup. Scored recently for Palace against Millwall in the League Cup. This is Austin with a flicked header out. And it's a throw here for Ecuador. Ecuador coming into this game were on a 450-minute shutout streak. Savar forward. Tackled by Tillman, and Filip Duric gives the free kick.
No problem with that. And somewhat frustrated, put the work in and was able to get the ball in the end, but plenty of leg before he did that.
Tillman started the 2 Champions League games for Bayer Leverkusen, draws against Copenhagen and PSV.